Hey YouTube, Vladimir here with desktopmakes.com, and I'm really excited about today's design because for a while now I've been wanting a simple way to just light up my LED prints, especially after printing this giant crystal here. I thought this is one of those designs that would just look really neat lit up. So I went about designing these little LED tea lights that basically just turn on and off just by rotating the bottom. All you need for this assembly is an LED, a 3-volt coin cell battery, and your 3D printed parts. After printing and assembling a bunch of these, I inserted them into some of my previous 3D prints that I had, and it really gave them a new life. Check out these lit up prints of my hanging lamp, my giant crystal, my pumpkin, Nefertiti, and even some kryptonite. The 3D model consists of 3 separate parts that snap together. I went ahead and recorded step-by-step tutorials on modeling each part, but at the end I had an hour and a half worth of content, which is not really suitable for one YouTube video, so I turned it into its own design course, which I'll leave a link below if you want to check it out. I know that many of you still enjoy my quick Fusion 360 tutorials, so what I'll go ahead and do is I'll do a quick little tutorial on one of the parts here, showing you how I went about designing it. Specifically, I want to show you how I was able to use the pipe command to create some channels, which I then ran the little LED legs through so that they would be nice and recessed. I'll go ahead and also leave a link to the free STL files that you can find and download your own, and I'll also leave the assembly instructions for these at the end of the video. I simply ask that if you do download and print these, that you also share this video as well. Alright, let's get into Fusion 360. So here's the finished model, and as you can see I have these all organized into components. So as I start untoggling these, you can see the parts below. I'm going to remove the cover, and if I remove that bottom piece, we see we're left with the battery and the top. I don't need to see the battery right now, so I'll remove that, which leaves us with this top part, which is going to be the focus of what I'm going to show how I went about tackling this. So basically I'm just going to show how I created this shape along with these channels and these holes here. And I want to mention that when I first started designing, a way I would have approached this would have been to probably create a circle, extrude that down, create an offset circle, and extrude it in to get this cut, and then would have probably gone ahead and create another circle in the middle here to get this groove in the middle. So you're talking 3 steps there. The more experience you begin to have, the more ways you start looking into more efficient ways of drawing and modeling. So right now I can tell you the best way really to approach this is just to create a sketch and revolve it. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and go to New Design, and the first thing I'll do is actually keep in line with the sort of design structure I use here. Is I'm going to create a component. Now I'm just going to create this part, but I want to show you guys how I went about creating components. I'm just going to right click over here on the top of my browser where your name, once you saved your file, would be located. And so you right click, click new component, and then I'm just going to click on this to give it a name. I'm just going to call it top. Okay, so now I'm ready to begin creating a sketch. So I'm going to go to create sketch and choose that ZX plane here. And I'm going to zoom in. I have these grids set to 10 millimeters apart, so I'm going to zoom in to about 1 grid size. Okay, now I'm going to move fairly quick through this. If you actually want to follow along, you know, check out the tutorial, because I do go, or the design course that I'm going to leave the link below, because I do go a lot slower with that and explain and describe each step that I take. But I really want to try to keep this to just a few minutes. So let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to click the L tool for a line, and I'm going to start with just going ahead and drawing a basic shape of what I want my profile to be. Not worrying so much about dimensions. I mean, I'm going to get them close to what I want them to be, but not worrying about getting them spot on. So you see I have a mixture of black and blue lines. Black lines are fully constrained. Blue lines can be moved around. So I'm going to go ahead and hit D for dimension, And start with this line up top here. I want this to be 13 millimeters. I want this side to be 12. The bottom here to be 2. I'm going to make this side here also 2. Now everything is fully constrained. And to go about and also get this channel in the middle here, I'm going to do that by drawing a circle. Right now I'm just going to put it into space, and I'm going to make it 2.5 millimeters and set that a distance of 3.5 millimeters from this bottom edge. Try that again. We'll do 3.5, and I want this to be on this line, so I'm going to hit the coincident constraint, click on the circle. One more time, click on this, click on the circle, click on this line, and there we go. So now I have everything I need to create my revolve. So I'm going to click on Stop Sketch, and let's go ahead and go to Create Revolve. Click on this, choose Axis, and I'm going to click on that blue axis there, and that's going to give me a revolve with that channel right in the middle there. So that's my shape. The reason it has this color is because I had Shift N toggled on. If you click on just keyboard Shift N, it'll automatically assign a different color to your different components. You know, just a nice way to kind of keep them organized or visually organized. So you can toggle that on or off if you want. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and make the sketches that we need for this top and side profile. So I'm going to create a sketch on this top surface. I'm going to start with a circle. I'm going to make that 1.5 millimeters. And let's go ahead and constrain that. So I'm going to horizontal constraint between that and that origin there. And then I'm going to give it a dimension of, let's do 1.5 millimeters. Now I can create a second circle to create, or draw another circle to create a second one, but I can also just choose this, hit Control C and Control V. I'm in my dimension tool, so I have to first get out of that, so I'm going to hit Escape. Let's try that again. Select the circle, hit Control C, Control V, Command if you're on a Mac, and I'm going to move that over, click OK. D for dimension this circle to be 6 millimeters from that circle. Notice it's still blue, so I can still move it around, and I have to now go ahead and constrain it horizontally to this origin. Now it's fully constrained, locked in place. Next I'm going to grab the L tool for a line, choose this circle, and go ahead and choose the edge, that perimeter, and let's make that line horizontal. So I'll grab the horizontal constraint, and I'm going to do the same thing with this line. I'm going to go out and give this a dimension of 4 millimeters. Alright, it's telling me I'm over constraining. That's because somehow I accidentally entered a dimension. Let's try that again. Oh, here's also, you see how that constraint, sometimes you have to be careful when you draw things. You can accidentally set constraints that you don't want. So this is a coincident constraint. I don't want that, so I'm going to delete it. Now I can go ahead and dimension this, and it should let me do it. 4 millimeters. And that line is still blue, so it means that it's not fully constrained. So, you know, which means I can move it, and I don't want it to move. So I'm going to grab my horizontal constraint, click on that line, and there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop that sketch. That's everything we need. Everything is all black and fully constrained. Now I want to go ahead and draw the sketches to make this shape here. So let's go back, and to do that I'm going to go ahead and create an offset plane. Click my origin on and select this ZX plane, and let's go ahead and we get this arrow so we can move it over left or right. Pay attention to the sign here. If I go right, it's positive number. If I go left, it's negative. So I know that I made that radius when I first drew that profile was 13 millimeters. So I have to enter negative 13 millimeters if I want it on the other side. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to click Create Sketch and sketch on this profile, or on that plane. So I'm going to start with the L tool for a line. I'm just going to draw a line straight down, and I'm going to click X and make that a construction line. It brought in this, projected in this line, and I don't need that, so I'm going to delete it. Click on it and just hit delete. Now this I find a little bit annoying, how this highlights every time I hover over this shape. So in order to avoid that, I'm just gonna go ahead and expand my component here and uncheck bodies. Alright, so let's start with a circle. I'm going to draw a circle, give it a diameter of 1.5 millimeters. Let's go ahead and we'll set that circle. Actually, let's do a dimension first. We'll hit D for dimension, and we'll make this circle from this origin let's do 3 millimeters. Actually, I want to point something out, so I'm going to hit Control Z for really quick. Can't help myself. So if I hit this and this, I get this dimension. That's a straight line dimension, and if I go more out, I get this vertical dimension. So you can choose which one you want. Once you see it, just click and enter your dimension. I'm going to make that 3 millimeters, and I'm going to go ahead and vertically constrain that to the top here. And let's go ahead and select this circle, Control C and Control V to put a new copy of that down here. I'm going to click OK. I'm also going to vertically constrain that to this point, and let's enter a dimension from here to this circle, and I want that to be 3 millimeters. Okay, so honestly I really didn't need this construction line because I ended up constraining everything to this origin. So you know what, I'm just going to delete it. I don't really need it. So I'm going to hit L for a line and draw a line from this origin to the center of this circle, and then I want another line from here going out. Now the dimension here is kind of getting in the way of that, so I'm just going to move that over, move this one over as well. Hit L for a line, grab that center, come out, click OK, and we'll dimension this to be 4 millimeters. Okay, that's good for that sketch, so I'm going to click on Stop Sketch, toggle back on my body. I don't need to see that origin here, so I'm going to untoggle that. And now I'm ready to create some extrusion, so I'm going to hit E for Extrude, grab these two circles, and I'm going to start bringing them down. So what I'm going to do here is, for distance, I'm going to choose all, click OK, and I can see that they went all the way through. And I'll do the same thing with these circles, grab both of them, move them in. Now if I go ahead and choose all for distance, notice that it's going to go all the way through the other side. I don't want that, so I'm going to go ahead and actually pull them back. Just make sure that they go all the way through that side, and then click OK. Now to make these channels, I'm going to use the pipe command, but I need to see those sketches. So I'm going to go ahead and click on sketches and make sketch 2 and 3 visible. And then I'm going to go to create and go down to pipe, click on this, and I want that to be 1.5 millimeters in diameter, so it matches my circle. And you have the option to make it a triangle or square. I want circle in this case, and it's going to be cut, so I'm going to click OK. Now right click and choose repeat pipe. Choose this particular line this time, give it 1.5 millimeter diameter, and do it a third time, repeat pipe, again 1.5 millimeters, and one final time for this line, and 1.5 again. Alright, so that's it. I don't need to see my sketches anymore. So there are my channels and my holes there. So basically the way that's going to work is the LED, one leg of the LED, the negative leg, will actually go down here, come back up, and be recessed inside this channel here. The other leg will just follow this trench, go down, go inside this hole, and then come back through this one and be recessed in here. So that's it. 11 minutes. Okay, so that's alright. Again, if you want to see this in a more slow, organized, step-by-step, make sure to check out my course. I'm going to leave the link below. But you know, again, I just want to stress how important it is to design using components, which makes your designs flow a lot better. It makes editing them a lot better, more efficient. Right now you see I'm back in my original design where I have all these different parts here. You can see my timeline goes pretty far, but if I wanted to, for example, just edit that top piece, all I have to do is activate that component, and then that will reduce that timeline to show only the aspects of that particular part, which makes editing a lot simpler. Alright, that's it for now. I decided to go ahead and leave the assembly video as a separate upload, which I'll probably go ahead and upload the same time as this video, so it's probably up right now, so you can go check it out. As always, if you have any questions, leave it on the comments below where I will be checking and responding to them. And if you like the video, leave me a thumbs up and subscribe for more content.